there's a million green jobs. I'm going to make them happen, and I'm going to go to Friends of the Earth and tell and talk about why it is and how it is that we're going to transform this and mainstream our environmental credentials and turn this into a completely different kind of economy and industry. I joined CERA, the Social Environmental Resource Network Association, a very, very long time ago. So this has been close to my heart for a very long time. To be able to work with Ed in government as his special advisor at the formation of the Department of Energy and Climate Change was an extraordinary privilege, and means that I feel that I have been able to see what the potential is for this country, for Europe, and for the world if we choose to act properly. Now, I'm right at the heart of government, annoying quite a lot of officials with my particular approach on some of these things, to the candidate in a seat where, let me tell you, the number of people who care about climate change wouldn't fill this room. We do all that kind of clever marketing segmentation as you would expect in politics, and we've got a kind of breakdown of my community, and I have been told that the Mosaic group, whatever it is statistically negligible. Now, bearing in mind I have to overturn a majority of 92, you can see where we are on this.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that.
I could phone up everybody who cares about climate change, and it wouldn't take me very long, and that would be great. And I would tell them what I'm telling you, and they go, oh, well, she's all right then, because she cares about it. But that's not really the challenge that we're facing. And the challenge that we're facing is that when people talk about the recovery, I will say the recovery for who, because we've got more than 25% of the working age population in Thurrock have no qualifications whatsoever. 3%, only 3% of our school leavers get apprenticeships. They would say, well, hang on a minute, I thought we were talking about climate change. Imagine when we talk about a high-skilled economy and low carbon, no, most people don't even know what carbon is, right? Let's be realistic about this. And when you say to them, we're going to give you different kind of jobs, they don't even know what kind of jobs they could do now, let alone the jobs that are going to be there in the future. So we have to work out what this story is that we're telling to get people from where they are to where we think we can get, where we think we need to be. And I think one of the biggest challenges that we've got is that we're right up against the science. There's nothing more rational than somebody who knows about the science and is profoundly over the left. Because that's kind of what we do. We think rational argument will win people over. Then add in a little bit of rational approach by the economists, and you can see where we're going. This is not necessarily the way that people get motivated. My journey into work every day means that I go past council houses with solar panels on them. I kind of think I might have had something to do with that, because I was in meetings with officials when we first founded that department, and they said, oh well, feed-in tariffs are going to be very expensive and they're going to be like this. And I said, what, are you making this for the people who do grand designs? Because that is not a public policy solution, it's a lifestyle choice. And I'm not interested in trying to do what we're doing if we're only going to do it for a handful of people. That doesn't support an industry, that doesn't get us near our carbonisation targets, and all it will do is satisfy a few people who can look at their roofs in Surbiton and say, aren't I doing well? It's not going to work. Now we've got them on council homes. Now we have them where people actually see it as a reasonable way of them saving money. That is progress. But when I talk about Thurrock, and I'm extremely passionate about it, as you would imagine, because it entirely focuses your mind when you need to think about how you can transform a community. What happens to Britain happens to Thurrock first. And I can say that with real conviction, because when you look at deindustrialisation, one of the first big shopping malls in this country, Lakeside Shopping Centre, if I win, I'll be the MP for Lakeside Shopping Centre, or the casualisation and de-skilling of work, intense immigration, and the consequences for housing and so forth, all of that is happening right by London, at the Dartford Bridge. That's all happening there, and it happens early. And if we get it right there, then we can get it right for the rest of the country. So what does that mean for this? We can do those things like the decarbonisation target for 2030. That's something which can set the pace. Because instead what we've got, that uncertainty, has direct consequences. I thought what Ollie said was absolutely brilliant. It's so fantastic to hear that massive, great big vision of how things can be different. But what we've got is people making active choices in government which materially make things worse for human beings now in my community. For example, this time last year, we lost 800 jobs at Corrigan Oil Refinery. Now, I'm sure a lot of you kind of say, oh, sorry, I thought you were green. What are you doing trying to protect oil jobs? I'll tell you one thing, we will lose the argument if we think it's okay to kind of shrug our shoulders and say, well, in the wrong kind of industry, that's just the way it's going to go. That's a transition to a low-carbon economy. No, it's not. That is not the way we win people over, and it's not the way you create the kind of economy that you need. This year, the reason why that happened, by the way, is because the government refused to talk to Europe about whether that qualified for state aid. Didn't even ask the question. Didn't even ask the question. Why? Because it might have done, and then they'd have had to act, and they don't believe in active government. So that's 800 people's jobs gone, like that, because of this government. Now, this year, in 6 weeks' time, Tilbury power station will close. Now, Tilbury was a coal-fired power station. Again, you're kind of go, well, come on, I thought you were talking about transition to a low-carbon economy. Shit happens. No, RWE and Npower had converted that to a biomass power station. They had made that choice to do that. That meant that they would be able to sustain. They had spent all their carbon credits, because we all know that coal's been dead cheap recently. So they spent all of those, and they converted to a biomass. This government made an active decision when they changed the policy on supporting different renewables that they would not support coal to biomass transition, and that therefore those 200 jobs are going. We were ahead of the curve. It was the biggest coal to biomass transition power station in the world. Those people were proud of what they were doing. I was knocking on the doors. This is what made me really angry. I knew about the numbers. I'd seen it in the paper. I was talking to the trade unions, and somebody opened the door the other day when I was knocking, and it was Kevin, and he's going to lose his job in 6 weeks' time. And he said, oh, that's all politics. When I started talking, that's all politics. And I thought, I need Kevin to have a job, and I need Kevin to have hope in what we're going to be able to deliver. And I can't do that if we're talking about things being less. I can't do that if we're talking about it being complicated and difficult. I can't really do it if I talk about it being technocratic. I can do it if I'm talking about jobs, about a future, about something that he feels that he's going to have the dignity of work, better skills, and him and his colleagues will be able to generate the energy that we need. That coal-fired power station, now biomass, was big enough to generate enough electricity for the whole of Essex. Now, sometimes people call Essex the Texas of Britain. There's reasons for that. We're kind of bigger, louder, brasher, maybe, than other parts of the world, but sometimes that kind of glamour and glitz hides the tough realities of what people's lives are like. So I want to make sure that Kevin has what he needs, which is dignity in work, and a feeling that he's creating a better kind of country. And that's what the narrative, if you like, to frame this will be. And I might not use the word green very much, and you might get a bit kind of cross. But if I get the people of Thurrock to say, oh, I've got these new jobs and we're managing to generate enough energy, and we are able to, for example, make energy from waste, because one of the things that the people at the docks really hate is they're piling loads of old computers onto boats to go to Africa, and they're saying they're allowed to bloody well burn them there and generate energy there, and we're not allowed to do it here. I said, no, that's because of pollution and air quality and things like that. But those kind of iniquities across the world, when you are the gateway to the world, which is fundamentally what you are when you're in a port and dock town, then you see those iniquities very big, and you feel the pressure on them very hard. So that's why the only way we can do this is we frame it in terms of optimism, hope, and an economic future for our people. Thank you.